Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Tuesday. I hope all of you are doing good. And guess what? It's gun control day again in Michigan today. Yeah, I literally just posted a video about the BB gun ban in Michigan. So make sure if you haven't seen that yet, you go back and check it out because it's actually a pretty big deal. And I explain why in that video. Also today, the former vice president issued some executive orders pertaining to gun control. And there's bills rapidly moving ahead again in Lansing. And I actually kind of repeat myself because, and I want to ask all of you that are in the chat right now, do you think this is just another coincidence? Let me tell you this. Gabby Giffords, the former congressman of Arizona, with her Giffords gun grabbing group. Yeah, she's coming to Lansing tomorrow. Now, at the same time that they're getting ready to bring her in, along with hundreds, maybe thousands of anti-gunners to the capital of Lansing, Michigan, as they're getting ready to try to pass through the Senate that 11 gun control bill, 3-subject package, which is actually the same thing that Biden put in his executive orders today. Red flag laws. Universal background checks, trying to ban face-to-face transfers, as well as safe storage. And I knew Biden was going to put this through today because there were some leaks of what was going to come out. Meanwhile, I was in Lansing, Michigan, and I did talk to a senator today, several representatives in Michigan. I'll update you guys on what's going on. I was looking on my phone, and I've printed these out to share with you, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm in Lansing, and they're doing the same thing in Washington, D.C., and that pretty much proves to me that this is coordinated, obviously. And this is nothing that's breaking news, but it just kind of cements it in what's really going on right now. And that's why I do these Michigan videos, and we're going to talk about the former vice president and his orders here in just a second. And then we're going to talk about Michigan. Now, clearly, I talk about the Michigan gun control bills, which were up to about 32 as far as I can count. Now, there may be more that they're putting in while I'm doing this stream, so don't fault me if I'm one or two behind, because let an hour go by and there could be another one, right? But I think this subject of what's going on in Michigan is relevant to the whole entire country. And I know a lot of you watching right now are from Michigan or used to be in Michigan or have friends and family in Michigan. And some of you aren't. But I think all of us now in this whole country know what's going on. Michigan has not traditionally been a far left state. One of the main advantages of being in Michigan is all of the hunting, the fishing. Firearms ownership is very, very prevalent in Michigan. And up until just a couple months ago, we had a Republican-controlled House, a Republican-controlled Senate. And if you go back, I guess about 6 years ago now, Trump, the Republican, won Michigan, and we had a Republican governor. Now, look, guys, I'm not saying that the Republicans don't do gun control. That's not what I'm talking about. A lot of them are rhinos as well, and that's why we're in the situation we're in. I'm just telling you, like, how rapidly they're able to shift the state of Michigan, and now how rapidly they're using this as momentum. Literally, gun control in Michigan is now the battle cry for all of the gun control advocates throughout these whole United States of America. So I really appreciate all of you who are supporting us and our efforts here in Michigan throughout this country. It means a lot to me, and I've always supported all of you throughout these 50 states as well. But the wolves are not only at the door of Michigan, but in this whole country. And I've said it so many times in my streams in the past, and I'm going to say it again because we need to remember what's truly going on right now. This is a culture war. And at the essence of that, it's a battle of good versus evil. And evil always has prevailed, currently is, and always will prevail when good men do nothing. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors what's going on. Because although I'm very frustrated to see these gun control bills just getting rifled through Michigan, and I'm very frustrated to see these gun control executive orders getting ready to put the boot on all of our necks, one thing actually frustrates me a little bit more than that. The fact that I keep running into good people every day. And some of them just say, I don't care. I give up. It's a bit frustrating. There's another group of people that are also good people that say, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. So I'm a small channel. I'm not going to be able to let everybody know, but there are those of you that are watching now, know people that I don't know. We need to let everyone know what the heck's going on right now. And yes, it's about guns right now, but when you have this brick wall that is the Bill of Rights, some people hate the Second Amendment, but they claim to love the First. A lot of people claim they would love the Third Amendment. They don't want a soldier quartered in their home, right? Remind them that when you have this beautiful wall, this impenetrable brick wall that stood the test of time for a couple hundred plus years in this country, you can't just remove that Second Amendment brick, because if you do, it exposes the mortar joints. It lets the elements in. And the whole Bill of Rights is going to collapse. And we all know this, but the Second Amendment was put there not for if, but for when they come for all the rest. And we need to focus on the Second Amendment specifically, very specifically right now, but we also just need to focus with our friends and family, neighbors, people in our hometowns about what it is to actually be America. Because we can't let this completely become a communist country, guys. You can vote yourself into communism, but you have to shoot your way out of it, and there won't be anywhere else to go. If America falls, there won't be another place to go. Because most of the world, essentially almost all of the world, already has more strict gun control and more strict people control than the United States. When you talk about gun control, don't forget this either. The operative word is control. Now, since the Second Amendment was put there for when they would come for all the rest, it begs the obvious question right now with what's going on in Washington, D.C., the state of Michigan, Oregon, Washington State, New Jersey, Maryland, New York, Colorado, all across this country. It's all over the place now. It makes you wonder when most of us just want to be left alone. And that's why we're in the situation we're in right now. Unfortunately, leave me alone. My Second Amendment, the Constitution, this is America. They can never ban this. Just leave me alone. I just want to go to work, spend time with my family and friends, and be left alone. That's what almost all of my friends and freedom-loving friends say. That's true. But the other side's not going to leave us alone. And here's what it makes me really wonder. People that are perfectly peaceful. Everybody I know who's a Second Amendment supporter is a very peaceful person. And we don't want to take lives with guns. We want to protect lives with guns. Because we know that a good guy with a gun's the only thing that will stop a bad guy with a gun. And not only do we inherently know that, but the founding fathers knew that too. And crime statistics prove that as well. So people that just want to be left alone and wouldn't hurt a flea, except for don't tread on me, don't hurt me, don't hurt my family. What would they have planned that is so sinister, so despotic, and so tyrannical that the gun owners in America would even consider taking up arms against their government? Now, they must have that planned, or they wouldn't want to disarm all of these peaceful people who just want to be left alone. So it's gun control right now. And then it's all of the rest of what they have in store for us that will come very, very soon. And a lot of it's already here right now. In the United States of America, China, America. Geez, I want it to stay the United States of America. Don't you? I'm going to talk about the former vice president. The current former vice president. Let's go, Brandon. And these executive orders. Then I'm going to do a little update on what's going on in Michigan. And when I say update, like it's happening fast. Gun control sweeping through Michigan in record speeds. But I'm going to start off with this Biden crap. And then maybe we'll do a little Q&A after I get through this. People might have questions on what's going on in Michigan right now. What can they do? Where's this particular bill at? Who's being involved? And I'll try to answer that as much as I can, because I was in Lansing, Michigan today. I talked to several representatives. I talked to the senator. I'm trying to get you guys the inside scoop of what's going on. And mainly, like I always do with this channel and these streams, I'm trying to offer encouragement. And the fact that we have this side chat, I hope you guys are talking to each other and try to have fun if you can and be productive. And at least we have each other, right? And I say at least we have each other, not like a consolation prize. Like, that's a big deal. I really appreciate you guys being here right now, because this stuff worries you and it worries me, and it's hard on you and it's hard on me. I don't like this at all. And I'm angry, and you guys are angry. But we need to try to prevail, no matter what. There's this blah, blah, blah sympathy thing for the kids, whatever, right? They have no problem killing babies, but it's all for the children. I'm going to move on to more of the meat and potatoes of this. And remember, the 3 major gun control bills, the first package, this is just the beginning. They've already said this in Michigan. We're going to see them right here. It's like I'm reading these executive actions, which are for the executive orders for the whole United States. And I'm like, am I reading Michigan stuff? Yeah. Life is sometimes even stranger than fiction, isn't it? I say that very sarcastically. The executive order directs the president's cabinet to increase the number of background checks by ensuring that all background checks required by law are conducted before firearm purchases, moving the U.S. as close to universal background checks as possible without additional legislation. Now, that makes me mad, but think about what's really going on here. When this country was founded, Ben Franklin was asked by a woman, "What do we have, sir? A monarchy or a republic?" He said, "A republic if you can keep it." That meant everyone who's lived since then and all of us living in America right now. We're not doing a very good job of keeping, because we're not supposed to have a monarchy. We are not supposed to have a king. We are not supposed to have a dictator. Notice what they just said here. They're not even hiding it anymore. See, people like me used to be called conspiracy theorists when I'd say, oh, they're trying to skirt the law and write laws from... No, they're literally telling you now. Like 100% in your face, telling you. Moving the U.S. as close to universal background checks as possible without additional legislation. And when you read the Constitution, it's a very simple document to read, actually. And I think it would be a lot easier to understand if we didn't have all these people on Capitol Hill with degrees from Harvard, Yale, Oxford, wherever. Because it seems like the smarter all these intellects get, the dumber they get. But the Constitution very, very clearly states we have 3 separate branches of government. We have the executive branch, which would execute the laws of the land. And the only supreme laws of the land would be the United States Constitution, as well as its amendments. Well, yeah, that almost sounds like a joke right now, but I'm being serious. That's what the supreme law of the land literally says. Then we would have a legislative branch, and they would write the laws. The duly elected people to the People's House of Representatives. And the upper chamber of the legislature, the United States Senate. They would write laws, but as the very early Supreme Court case, Marbury v. Madison, correctly said, all laws that are repugnant to the Constitution, they are void. So the legislature would have the authority to write laws only if they didn't contradict or infringe upon the Constitution. Your constitutionally protected rights, not given by the Constitution, but protected. And then we'd have the judicial branch, which would judge the constitutionality of said laws. Now we live in a place, wherever it is that we're living right now, where they're bragging on the official letterhead from the White House. This came right off of the whitehouse.gov's website. And they're not just admitting, they're bragging, moving the U.S. as close to universal background checks as possible without additional legislation. This is the definition of tyranny. A tyrannical leader rules outside of the rule of law. The office that is supposed to be the chief executive office, supposed to be executing the laws, is now brazenly bragging that as they're enforcing the laws, they are now breaking the laws. Have you guys thought about it that way? Tell me if I'm wrong, and I hope I am, but it's right here in typeset. And they even put that part in bold. The part where the former vice president's cabinet is literally bragging, and they took the time to bold that part. They're going to put in universal background checks without legislation. Well, now even if they did put in said legislation, it should be void because it's unconstitutional. A large majority of Americans support background checks, so they say. Do you hear the way they ask these questions when they do these polls? Look at some of these polls they put out. It's insane. They can ask a question in a way to get whatever answer they want. And agree, it's a common sense to check whether someone is a felon or domestic abuser before allowing them to buy a gun. I would note, the Second Amendment doesn't say shall not be infringed unless you're an abuser or a felon. By the way, nobody wants to talk about that. That's a real tough subject to talk about. It's even tough for me being a Second Amendment firearms channel here on YouTube, because I probably just got half my chat mad at me for saying that. But by the way, there is no except felons, or that's actually not in the Second Amendment at all. Don't forget that either. The president will continue to call on Congress to pass universal background check legislation. Okay. But if they don't, in the meantime, he is directing the Attorney General to do everything he can to ensure the firearm sellers who do not realize they are required to run background checks under existing law, or who are willfully violating existing law, become compliant with background check requirements. We're going to have a new ruling from the ATF. Just watch. It's going to be coming, like guaranteed. Specifically, the president is directing, former vice president, if you ask me, is directing the Attorney General to move the U.S. as close to universal background checks as possible without additional legislation by clarifying, as appropriate, the statutory definition of who is engaged in the business and dealing in firearms as updated by the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. That was I call it anyways, the Senator Cornyn McConnell bill, where like 20 Republicans came over with the Democrats. Republicans usually all campaign that they're pro Second Amendment, that they're good on guns, long traditions of hunting and skeet. They all have the same form letter. They all have the same people writing their campaign speeches. But half the time you look at these people, especially when it gets to Washington, D.C., and it's just two sides of the same coin. So thanks to all the Democrats and 20 of the Republicans, yeah, there was a major gun control law passed last year in the United States. And I talked about it then, and I knew it was going to be a big deal. And now the chickens are indeed coming home to roost. This move would mean fewer guns will be sold without background checks, and therefore fewer guns will end up in the hands of felons and domestic abusers. And many, many other people, if I were to opine. It's going to cover a lot more than that. I can almost guarantee it. The president is also directing the Attorney General to develop and implement a plan to prevent former federally licensed firearms dealers whose licenses have been revoked or surrendered from continuing to engage in the business of dealing in firearms. And they throw that in the end so it looks more common sense. Because a lot of people would be like, well, hold on a minute. If they've been revoked, if they got kicked out of being an FFL, of course they shouldn't be able to engage. Again, they start off with reasonable, and then they put all this stuff in there. So the reasonable folks will say, well, I'm pro Second Amendment, but you guys like that? You guys know people like that. I'm pro Second Amendment and I have its back 100%, but, and as soon as they say but, it's all over. Because it doesn't say the right to keep and bear arms shall only be infringed a little bit, does it? Does it say a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state? That's why. It tells you why right there. And we all want to be free. The right of most people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Does it say that? Or does it say the right of the people to keep and bear certain firearms shall not be infringed? No, it doesn't say that either. It says it shall not be infringed. which is the most specific wording that could have possibly been used. Many of the founding fathers were very highly educated men. They could have used words. They could have used big words and confused all of us, but they didn't want to because they knew that the more simple the text was, the less it could be parsed out. And it simply says, shall not be infringed. So there is no, I support the Second Amendment, but we need. No. And don't forget that. Universal background checks, that's one of the biggest key things going on in Lansing right now. That bill has passed the Michigan House. The Senate's going to take up a big package, probably, and when I say probably, almost certainly tomorrow, that includes universal background checks, as well as the next one. Red flag laws. That bipartisan so-called Safer Communities Act, Dangerous Communities Act, because more guns equals less crime. It's a great book written by John Lott, who did testify in Lansing just last week, and I was honored to actually get to shake the man's hand. Whew. Talk about a really, really bright guy. Honored to be able to shake his hand. Wow. I'm like, I'm standing in front of John Lott. Are you kidding me? If you're interested, he has a book called More Guns, Less Crime. And all of the statistics to literally prove it. I left a link to that down in the description if you guys are interested. I think all of you should own that book. Red flag laws. The federal government, with that More Dangerous Bipartisan Communities Act, bribes all 50 states to take on red flag laws. Did you know that right now? I don't care what states you live in. Shout out to West Virginia. You guys passed campus carry right after there was the tragedy at Michigan State that, by the way, none of these laws will prevent, no matter what. They would not have prevented that. And they won't prevent the next one either. They're going to cause a lot more. And I think that's actually what they want. All 50 states. If you live in the beautiful state of West Virginia, it's 50-50. I might be driving through West Virginia next week. I might be driving through the Kentucky, Tennessee to my destination in South Carolina route. But I don't care if you live in the great state of Mississippi. I'm just thinking of states that are like super, super pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment. All 50 states. So everyone I'm talking to that lives in America right now, your local government was just bribed with millions of dollars. In some cases, upwards of tens of millions of dollars to take on red flag laws. And that's one of the highest priorities in Lansing. And it's actually one of the highest priorities in Mississippi, West Virginia, Alabama. Shout out to all of you guys that live in these states, but it's the highest priority now in your state as well, especially when you tie in this executive order. Now, I'm not saying your state legislators are going to vote for it. You need to make sure they hold the line and don't. But all states are a priority for red flag according to this new executive order. Improve public awareness and increase appropriate use of extreme risk protection, red flag orders, and safe storage of firearms. There you go. There's the third part of that big Michigan gun control bill package, so-called safe storage. Are you kidding me right now? Look, this is literally insane. One more time. We fought the King of England to have a representative constitutional republic. We are not supposed to have a king. We're not supposed to have any titles of nobility in this country whatsoever. And now the former vice president / king of the United States hereby therefore unto does declare that he's going to try to talk as many jurisdictions into red flagging you as possible. Now, there's something wrong with that right on its face, too, if you think about it. I mean, we could talk for an hour about how insane red flag laws are, obviously. But they put this stuff in bold, and they're trying to improve and increase the appropriate use of extreme risk protection orders. When something's appropriate, water finds its level. Just humor me here. These are never appropriate, but they're even defeating themselves in their own language here. We're going to increase the appropriate use. Yeah, that's a way of saying they want to red flag every single one of you. Make it where you're just so afraid to own a gun or go on a date with anybody. Yeah, think about that. This is literally insane. Legally Armed America, what's happening, man? Nice to see you here, dude. Legally Armed America, great channel. I've hung out with Paul personally in real life. And if you're going to the event in South Carolina this year, next week, hopefully I'll get to see you again. He was in his truck earlier talking about these while I was in Lansing, Michigan, talking to state legislators. So it means a lot that you're here, man, hanging out with us, because you've been a good role model for me, and you fought a lot in your home state of Louisiana over the years, and keep up the good fight, dude. Excellent channel, Legally Armed America, guys. He's a good dude and really is fighting the good fight right now. 19 states. It could be Michigan within like maybe weeks, but I'm going to talk about Michigan in just a little bit. 19 states and the District of Columbia have enacted red flag laws, allowing trusted community members to petition a court to determine whether an individual is dangerous, and then to temporarily remove an individual's access to firearms. Yeah, let's cut to the chase on that. They permanently remove your due process. Literally enumerated, protected in the Bill of Rights. You shall not be deprived, right, of life or property without due process of law. So the minute they take the guns first and then say due process, that's literally what they tell you. Take the guns first, then due process. Literally. That requires the listener to be dumber than the speaker. You can't have due process after they take something. It's literally called no due process at all. That's why when you look at red flag laws, they not only violate the Second Amendment, but they violate the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment right on their face. And I would argue also violate the First Amendment, because it's putting you under duress, and you're now going to be afraid to even talk about the fact that you own a firearm. I mean, people like me with channels that show guns, and all of you guys out there with gun channels, a lot of people have told me, aren't you all afraid to do a gun video in the future? Because you could get red flagged. Yeah, this is so much bigger than the Second Amendment. Literally, in the United States of America and all of our founding documents, which are supposed to still be the supreme law of the land, a red flag law literally cannot exist because it violates so much of the fundamentals of what the United States is supposed to be. But they don't care. This is a decree from the King of the United States. However, there's always more. However, these laws are only effective if the public knows when and how to use red flag orders. Do you guys remember if you see something, say something during tyrannical dictatorships in World War II? Well, if you don't, look that up, because this is what this sounds like. Former Vice President Biden is directing members of his cabinet to encourage effective use of extreme risk protection orders, including by partnering with law enforcement, healthcare providers, educators, and other community leaders. So he's going to teach people in your hometown how to turn on you and all your friends and neighbors and family and try to strip you of your natural right to keep and bear arms with no due process of law. Think about that. Trying to turn your own people against you. In addition, President Biden is directing members of his cabinet to expand existing federal campaigns and other efforts to promote safe storage of firearms. I've talked about this a lot because we also have a safe storage bill that is very close to becoming law in the state of Michigan. And this is the Safer for Criminals bill. Because the criminal, he doesn't follow laws, never has followed laws, probably never will. And while you're sitting there fumbling with a cable, fumbling with a safe in the middle of the night, knowing that when cops, right, when seconds matter, cops are only minutes away, you're fumbling with the safe, the combination, the fingerprint, whatever, right? Dialing the thing on the safe. That criminal is going to come in cock-locked and ready to rock. Probably didn't take a background check. Probably not, right? Probably doesn't care about red flag laws. Probably just got let out of jail and walked free the same day for a double homicide. I mean, we see that happen quite frequently nowadays in the United States. Comes into your house, and now your house has to be safe for that criminal while you're trying to fumble around to get access to that firearm that you're going to need to protect yourself. This is all gun control, clearly. But it's even way worse than gun control. bragging in boldface typeset font that they're now going to move as close to universal background checks as possible without any laws. So this is literally bragging, saying we don't follow laws anymore. We just make these decrees. That's very, very scary. Really just as scary as gun control in and of itself, because it's all just the literal definition of tyranny. Red flag laws. Not only do those violate half the Bill of Rights and everything that we have that means we're Americans, but it's even worse than that. Trying to turn your local community, healthcare providers, educators, law enforcement. Do you guys remember that back during the Cold War? Nikita Khrushchev, he was the premier of Russia when we had the Cuban Missile Crisis. He made a declaration. He said, we'll take over America, meaning communists will. We'll take over America without ever even firing a shot. And unfortunately, this reminds me a lot of that right now. If you see something, say something, turn in your friends, turn in your family, turn in your neighbors. A government that is literally governing outside of the rule of law, making laws that are outside the rule of law. Red flag laws have no due process of law at all. And this isn't the due process of the United States Constitution, declaring that you're going to do as much as possible without any additional laws. Just think about this for a minute. I hope you guys are thinking about it. I hope you're talking to people. Someone just asked me the other day, they're like, well, I don't know, man. What do we even have to lose at this point? And I'm like, oh, geez, everything? If we lose this country, we're not going to get it back. At least not in my lifetime or your lifetime. And probably not in your children or your children's lifetime. This is serious stuff right now. And they're combining all of their energy and they're using Michigan as a battle cry. This is coordinated. I was at the Capitol today and I saw some of the people from, I don't know what group they were with necessarily. They'll have all their shirts on tomorrow, so you'll know who they are. But I heard some people in the halls of the Capitol building. I was just kind of walking around, taking some pictures. I hope you guys like the picture of the cannon that I took on the front lawn of the Michigan State Capitol today. I was just kind of, I said, you know what? It was time for me to really go home. I did a good video with 2 state representatives today, Representative Green and Thompson, and probably actually split that up into 2 different videos. I think you guys will like it. And I was talking to the rock star representative, Angela Regas, all of you that watched my recent Versus House Floor debate video. Talked to quite a few other ones, and we were talking about plans and trying to lift each other up and see what we can do. And I said, you know what? I need to go over to the Capitol building. And they weren't even in session today. So I was walking around, and I'll post some more pictures up on my locals community. The link to that's in the description of this video. I'll post a picture or 2 here. I'll throw some on Facebook. I like to bring you guys along to the Capitol as much as possible. But I'm like, I got to go in there and walk around. And I did. And I'm frustrated that I did, but I'm glad I did because they were already milling around. You know what I mean? They were milling and crawling and squirming around. And I heard one of them say, well, I thought I heard a lady say, you know, geez, that's one of the most offensive things now. You can say to a lot of people. I thought I heard a lady say, I can't wait till tomorrow. My chick voice isn't good. You guys can laugh at me. I look over and it's like a dude like drinking too much soy or something. I'm like, oh, interesting. Can't wait till tomorrow. Do tell. So I'm sitting there kind of like, you know, I'm on my phone looking in the corner. You know what I mean? People are stupid. They think you can't hear them if you look away. So I look away and I'm, oh my gosh. 500's coming from here. Such and such is coming from there. Tomorrow's going to be an awesome day. I'm glad we finally got this, and Michigan's finally going to come our way. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So 32 gun control bills have been introduced in Michigan. A couple of them are so close to passing, like if you blink, they've already passed. Now, Giffords is coming to the Michigan Capitol tomorrow. She's from across the country. She ain't no local girl. We don't want her here. And then the former vice president comes up with this. And the first three things on here is the major package that they're going to attempt to cram through the Senate tomorrow. I have a little bit of hope with that and encouragement with that, so I'll talk about that in just a minute. There's a lot more to these executive orders, guys. I wanted to focus on the first three. I'll take a peek at the chat, and if you guys want me to discuss anything further with this, I will, because there's a whole lot more in here. But I want to kind of focus and talk about a couple of things going on in Michigan right now. But again, what's going on in Michigan and literally what's going on the federal level is the same thing. This is coordinated. And I'm going to say this. I know this is corny, but I have to say it because it's just true. My viewers are like so smart. Viewers, friends, I repeat myself, you know. So many of you have been coming in my comments for the last month or so, letting me know and saying, hey, I'm from another state, but we have your back in Michigan and we're watching Michigan because where Michigan goes is a big indicator of this whole country. And I don't care what happens to the channel as far as the numbers go. Like, I want as many people to watch these type videos as possible so we can spread the word. That's why I'm doing this. But other than that, I don't care. But I want my viewers to like my content. I was so worried. I'm like, man, if I keep doing these Michigan gun control videos a couple times a week, half my subscribers are going to hate me and be like, screw you, we don't care. But I found it's been the opposite. A lot of people from all over the country are very interested in what's going on in Michigan right now. And I appreciate you guys. And you guys were so much smarter than I even knew when so many of you, I'm talking like hundreds of people, have left me comments from other states just in the past month and said, hey, man, I don't live in Michigan, but I've got to watch this because, you know, different people say different things, but the consensus is it's much bigger than Michigan. You guys were right. So you guys that leave comments on my videos, you know who you are. You're very smart people because now everything that's going on in Michigan is right here. I mean, not everything that's going on in Michigan. I don't see a BB gun ban in these executive orders. Just wait a week or two. The former vice president will come out and try to ban those. Yeah, they're trying to ban BB guns and airsoft guns. If you haven't seen that video yet, it's on my channel. It's a short watch. Yeah, all states are. CNT Designs, you're a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And shout out to the CNT Designs and Arms channel. Great dude. You live down south. I've mailed something to you before. I don't know if you make it public where you're at or not, so I'll leave that up to you. He's quite a bit south of Michigan, and he's been here the whole time. So that's what I meant. Very smart individuals, including you. I saw that I got a couple generous super chats. I want to read those real quick. Hopefully you guys are still here. And if you're not, I did. Well, if you're not, then I guess you're not mad at me. You're already mad, right? So if you're not, then, well, you're not here. All right, 1 second here. I'm by myself today, but I'm trying to man 2 screens at once. Marco Polo, what's happening, man? Thanks for the super chat and for being a channel member. He said, great stream tonight. Well, I appreciate you, man. And good luck in your home state, which also happens to be the home state of another super chat I got. Where's he at here? VA Wolf. I thought I saw you here. There he is. VA Wolf of the super chat. Thanks, man. Keep up the good fight in Virginia, dude. I know you guys have actually gained a lot of ground there. And, man, I appreciate what you're doing for people in your home state, dude. He said, 2AE to you, speak it. The former VP wants to PSA red flags. Yeah, that's what he's doing right now. Spending a bunch of your money. Look, let's cut to the chase. They spend your money to implement this. Then you have to spend your money to donate to gun groups, gun rights groups, to fight it. And I was just talking to a friend on the phone a little bit earlier. And he said, dude, they're going to try to pass 30, 100, 200 gun control laws in Michigan. Now, there's all this stuff going on federally. Many other states. Washington. It's literally nuts in Washington state right now, right? Knowing that they're going to win with a war of attrition, that these gun rights groups 2A protection groups are going to go bankrupt. They're going to have to start picking and choosing. That's what the other side's hoping. In their mind, that's what they're going to do. To where big groups might have to pick between, do we go fight in Washington State or Michigan right now? Because between the two of them, there's 200 gun control bills. And we can only maybe afford to defend a dozen or two. I hope that's not the case, but I do believe that's their goal. Meanwhile, there's all this federal stuff going on right now. Triggers, frames and receivers, bump stocks, quote unquote ghost guns, right? Braces. They could literally make tens of millions, like up to 40. I've even heard up to 80 million Americans felons overnight. The clock's ticking on that. And I know a lot of groups that a lot of us are supporting are fighting that tooth and nail right now too. But I do believe they're trying to run us down big time. Legally Armed America. I said hi to you earlier, man. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And shout out to his channel too. I mean, I've met him in real life. I like him. If you guys go back and look at my YouTube community posts, I'm not tasking you guys with this because it'd be really boring. But if you just scroll like a lot, you literally have to go back to almost exactly this time last year. You'll see a picture of me, Paul from Legally Armed America, and Such, all just kind of hanging out. And that was at the PSA The Gathering event, and I'm going to be going there next week. And when I do go there, I'm definitely going to be talking to Gun Owners of America, who will be sending people from their, corporate, their main office there. I assume they're going to be there. They always are. And I will bring back as much information on that as I can and possibly grab a quick video with them. So I'm going there to maybe, review some cool guns that are maybe up and coming guns, stuff that I wouldn't be able to afford that I'll be able to shoot there for some gun reviews. Cause this is still a gun channel too, guys. It's just like, I don't have time to review guns when I won't even be able to have these guns to review soon if we just lay down and let them steamroll all of us, right? But I am definitely planning on getting some firearms content on this channel soon. And I want to talk gun rights when I'm down there in South Carolina. And that event is open to the public, by the way. So maybe, hopefully, I'll see some of you there in South Carolina. I'll do another community post soon on this channel. Okay, Michigan. So as you probably already know, especially if you watch this channel on a regular basis, the first thing that hit Michigan was this original 11-bill, 3-subject matter package, and it originated in the Senate. And then the House took up appropriate corresponding bills. The Michigan House of Representatives last week, late at night, passed the universal background checks, licensing, registration portion of that bill. Well, it just last week passed the committee in the Senate. This is not provable only because the Democrat majority in Michigan refuses to even put the agenda out ahead of time. Like, I've literally been sitting with legislators. This is true, guys. And they'll show me on their computer screen, on their phone. Sometimes their staff prints it out for them. And it will say, the agenda for the session. So this is what they're supposed to be going in there prepared to possibly vote on. And it will say, any business that is necessary to be presented. I might have misquoted that by a word or two, but that's basically what it says. Here's what it says in real life. We're going to do whatever the heck we want, and we're not even going to tell you. They'll put bills up in some instances on the House floor, because I've seen it happen, where the reps haven't even been able to read it yet. They might have 10 minutes to read dozens of pages. I'll give you another little story. When I was sitting there in the gallery watching them go through, and they did pass this universal background checks, registration, licensing scheme, certainly to lead to eventual confiscation scheme. Let's just call it what it is. Registration leads to confiscation. They're wanting to ban BB guns in Michigan. Of course they're coming for your guns. Obviously. They'll literally tell you that now. That's not conspiratorial at all anymore. And they said, we are going to adopt the substitute for the bill. I'm like, oh, so there's a substitute. That literally means it's like a whole new bill, or it could be. They could have changed one word. They could have changed every word. It's a legislative trick. I'm not going to say who, not because I don't trust you guys, because the other side, some of them are big fans of my channel too, if you know what I mean. I call them fans just to be nice. You know what I'm saying? You guys are just friends and buddies. The other side that watches, I call them the fan club, if you know what I mean. So I texted a representative who was sitting down on the floor. I said, what's the nature of the substitute? And they said, I don't have the substitute. I'm like, oh, great. So we're back to voting on stuff that they don't even have again. Great. So I get in there. I'm like, all right. I'm on my phone. I got my laptop. Oh, substitute S1 slipped in the back door in the middle of the night. You know how they do this. I'm like, nope, still bad. Still bad across the board? No. They did one little thing to try to pull some more people over. And they're like, oh, no, I'm voting no on it anyways. Texted 3 more reps that were sitting down on the floor. Has anyone been to the Michigan Capitol? If not, I took a picture and put it up here recently. The general public, me, right? And all of you, whoever we want to go there, we have to sit up in the gallery that's above, and then we look down onto the House chamber floor. So you can see them down there. And then you get to listen to the discourse on the floor. You get to watch the board where they do the votes. Now they're cramming bills down their throat and passing them one after another. In my last live stream I did here on Friday, you watch how fast they vote these bills through, and you can't even understand what the House Majority Floor Leader is saying. Those of you that watched my last live stream, you know what I'm talking about. I was trying to have some fun with it, and yeah. So they're just passing bills so fast and just running roughshod or whatever they can so quickly. I'm like literally texting members saying, still vote no. And they're like, we're good. We're good. Okay. That passed the House along strictly party lines. This is not me saying Republicans are always your friends, but in this one vote, it was partisan. All the Democrats voted for the universal background check licensing scheme. All the Republicans voted against it. But that's all that was taken up in the House that day. Well, probably, meaning almost essentially tomorrow. Maybe Thursday, but probably tomorrow. The Senate is going to take up all 11 bills, which is the 3 subject matters of this executive order by Biden, right? The universal background check, licensing, registration, future confiscation scheme, the red flag laws, and the safe storage laws. Now, in the House, it's a joke, and I showed you all how that works. When they vote for immediate effect, the Constitution provides for how that's supposed to work. There's laws. They just run roughshod right over it. They don't care. Just like here, there's so many parallels. This is not cute or funny, but I want you guys to know about this. We are going to pass as many laws as we can without making laws. That's literally what this says, and they're shoving it in your eye. Well, they do the same thing in the Michigan House. They just say, I move for immediate effect. All in favor stand, immediate effects granted. If you go to about 3/4 of the way through my last Friday stream, I literally showed that portion of the House session when this passed. All right, the Senate. Back to another video that I did on this channel. And I'm not trying to bore all of you regulars, but there's new people here, and this is good. We want to get people caught up to speed, right? I did with Senator Bellino and Representative Thompson, talking about immediate effect. We're in a bad situation in Michigan, but here's our only hope. There are currently 20. So let's see here. There's 38. Okay. There's 22 representatives. 20 representatives that are Democrats that have all co-sponsored these gun control bills. Okay. And none of the Republicans. So the Senate still has their rules in effect where they actually have to have a formal roll call vote that's recorded on the board before a bill can take immediate effect. So here's what I would expect to happen. The first part is what I'm going to expect to happen. I'm going to expect that every Democrat in the Senate is going to vote for these gun control bills. That means it will have passed, at least with the background checks. The House hasn't taken up the other ones yet, the red flag or safe storage yet, but that could be any minute too, and will be. So it's probably going to pass the Senate. I hope it doesn't, but I'm not going to lie to you, probably. Now, this is the big deal. If it passes just on party lines, it will not take immediate effect. It will take place 90 days after the end of the current session. Keeping in mind the 2-year session just started January 11th of this year. So, this is not good news, guys, but it gives us a little bit of breathing room. Don't think I'm looking forward to this. I'm not. I'm just saying it can be worse if it passes, and it can be even much more worse than that if it takes immediate effect. That would give us roughly, I guess almost a couple years if you think about it, for gun rights groups to come in and litigate this. Because I think in almost any reasonable person's opinion, clearly most of these bills, if not all of them, will run afoul of Heller, McDonald, and what we call the Bruin case. This is Supreme Court case law precedent that lower court judges are supposed to be bound by. I know. Trust me, if there's someone in New York here, they're probably telling you guys all about it right now. These liberal states a lot of times don't even care what the Supreme Court says. I get it, but this stuff takes time. Here's what you guys can do if you want to fight right now in Michigan. First of all, tell them to oppose all of this. But if you want to focus on some senators tonight, you can focus on the Democrats. And I did leave a link in the description of this video that shows you guys all of the current gun control bills. Okay. It's over on Locals, which is a censorship-free site. And I do tons of extra content there, including live streams where I touch guns, daily deals, all kinds of stuff. But I have a running list there of all the Michigan gun control bills and some key representatives and senators that probably should be focused on a little more than others. I put that over there just because I don't like to let my enemy know the exact game plan, if you know what I mean. I would say right this minute, if you guys have time tonight, I think Senate session starts at 10 a.m., I'd focus on some of those Republican senators because they're probably a lot better on these bills than the Democrats generally, but it's just hard for me to trust the average politician, period. So, as Senator Bellino explains in that video about immediate effect, and it's a good one to pass on to your friends and family if you guys want to know like what the plan is. 4 Republicans would have to come over with the Democrats. And then it could take immediate effect. And Governor Whitmer's already going to sign all these. We don't even need to guess, or she'll sign them. So that's not even anything to even think about. She'll sign every gun control bill you could think of, plus 100 more that you didn't even think of. She'll probably start putting in gun control without laws soon. Since, in my opinion, she's doing all this to try to run for president of the United States. I was texting a senator just before I left Lansing. Here's what I said to him. You guys can say whatever you want, but this is a Michigan senator. Said, is the Senate expected to vote on the entire 11 Bill 3 subject gun control package tomorrow? Most of us believe they're going to. Hopefully not. Hey, any day that this doesn't pass is more time for the gun rights groups like Great Lakes Gun Rights in Michigan, completely kicking butt. Michigan Open Carry, 2 great groups in the state of Michigan, by the way, as well as the national groups. He basically said, I think it's anti-gun day at the Capitol tomorrow, so it makes sense. I said, yes, Giffords will be there. I just left the House office building. Then I came back and said, I hope you guys can stop. Immediate effect. Thousands of my viewers are watching that vote. Tell your colleagues. That was me just putting some peer pressure, saying, it's not just me. Like, there's a lot of people watching how these senators vote. The Democrats watch them, but especially the Republicans right now. He says, we will be 100% no on every vote. Now, he can only speak for himself, and I think what he's saying there is he's going to try to encourage all of his colleagues the best he can, but he can't make them vote a certain way. So I responded back, which I think the way you guys should. I said, thank you. We need you right now. Stay strong. I have your back. I know a lot of you guys hate all politicians, and I hate a lot of politicians too. And when it gets to the federal level, it's really, really hard to find a good one. And maybe you couldn't even find a good one at all, but maybe you could. I don't know. I like to always be a little bit optimistic, even though I know what's going on. We don't want to be naive, but I try to have a little hope. Here's what I've learned, though. When it comes down to the township level, the county level, and even I'm learning on the state level, there's actually some true fighters still there. They have rather short term limits in the state of Michigan, for example, and I suspect in all 50 states, where a lot of them don't really have to be worried about getting reelected as much because they're already almost term limited out before they got in many instances, especially if they're in the Senate. Their term limits run out real quickly. I found some fighters in Lansing, and we'll keep checking them to see how they vote to make sure, as Reagan used to say, trust but verify. I'm verifying constantly. That's what I told this senator, and he is my friend. I said, I trust you, buddy. I got your back, but I'm verifying, and I've got thousands of people that watch this channel that are verifying. That's good. That's a friendly way to say, hey, man. But here's the kicker. You have to have their back, the ones that are fighting, because I walked around, and I'm not going to say who they are. Look, if we could all just hang out in the same room, I would tell you guys a lot more, but I don't want the other side to know everything going on. But I talked to quite a few reps today, the ones I mentioned already and others. I'm not going to say who they were, but a few of the reps that I know are actual freedom fighters. People that were involved in the grassroots movement, just like all of us, before they finally said enough's enough. If nobody decent's going to put their name on the ballot, I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. I'm just going to have to run myself. And there are people like that. And that is why they ran for office. And that's why I suggest some of you run for office in your local areas. That's where we can affect change the best, I believe. And there was just kind of a, now she's coming tomorrow, meaning Giffords. There's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of anti-gunners coming in with billions of Bloomberg money and the big, you know who backs these people. And I'm like, man, are enough people encouraging you right now? Because look, you can only fake so much. I'm talking like being in people's offices, like totally in private. Like that when you walk into a Michigan representative's office in the Anderson House office building, and it's a building that's open to the public. And I suggest if you live in Michigan, you go there either to complain and hold accountable your representatives that are voting for this gun control. And I think it's time to start supporting and letting the ones that are good know that we have their back. So they weren't in front of a camera. I didn't have my camera rolling. And it's just like watching some of this, like, oh, geez. Like it's driving them just as crazy as us. So I asked the question. I said, how many people are coming up to encourage you and offer support to you, or even calling with support and encouragement? And one of the reps looked out the window and said, I keep looking for people down there. Not much. Not much at all. So as much as we should complain, and I know that's human nature, like you go to a restaurant and the food's bad, you're like, let me speak to the manager. It was horrible. I want it remade. I want my money back. Like almost everybody does that. Not many people, though, if you have like excellent food, excellent service, will say, come to the manager. Get the manager out here. Hey, by the way, that waitress is excellent. You telling the manager that might get them the best section next time. That cook's awesome. Make sure you're paying him enough back there. Not many people do that. And it's the same human nature where not many people are getting behind some of these good representatives and senators who, quite frankly, some of them might be getting voted out of office next time because they're voting no on gun control. We always like to talk about it the other way around, and we should, saying, if you vote for this gun control, we're going to make sure you get voted out of office. Well, keep in mind, all of the other side, people that don't think like you and me, right? They're doing the same thing to all of these pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment reps and senators in Lansing. They're saying, if you vote against these gun control bills, we're going to make sure you get voted out of office. So there's people right now that are They're a lot stronger than me in so many ways. There's some good fighters there. These people have lots of confidence, lots of self-esteem. I'm not trying to call them weak. It just frustrated me a little bit that they're not really feeling our side of the community behind them and having their back. So I just let you guys know that. It might be a good idea to call, right? Whatever, just tonight, because their staff will get that in the morning and let them know. Some of these Republican senators, and you can kind of kill two birds with one stone and be like, hey, we're holding you accountable and we're watching that you hold the line and do not let this get immediate effect, whether it's tomorrow or the next day. And by the way, if you vote against these gun control bills, I have your back. We have your back. I think that helps. Do you guys agree with me? And here's my challenge. Because I don't want you guys just to believe everything that I say, even though I really try to be as honest as I possibly can on here. If someone doesn't believe me, here's my challenge and my offer, and I think it'd be a good time. Meet up with me in Lansing one day. I'll walk you to some representatives' offices and let you talk to them. And see what you think, but I'm convinced there are still some good ones. On paper, if you look at the most secure, fair, free, and fortified elections of all time, right? And Susan Wiki, who still works at YouTube, that is from Time Magazine, which was a NewsGuard certified source. The most fortified elections of all time, according to them, more than 50% of the people in Michigan voted these people into power and voted for this crap. Think about that. According to the results of the election, over 50% of the people in Michigan voted for Whitmer. So you could very easily say, and some people do say this, and I don't take it personal. I mean, once you've had a channel this long, you can't take this stuff personal or you'd quit, and I'm not ever going to quit. But some people will come in and say, everyone in Michigan are morons. All of you voted for Whitmer. But you're sitting there saying, that's not true. I didn't vote for Whitmer. Okay. Well, just like it's true that there's a lot of good regular people in Michigan, I'm convinced all of these reps and senators ain't bad. Now, there's many, many issues. I can't keep track of all of the issues, at least not publicly on this channel, because the stream's already going long. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, I truly believe there's some that care about it just as much as you do. So that's kind of my little challenge for you tonight. Republican goes the other way. I don't want this to be about Democrats and Republicans, guys. It's just they made it that way, okay? That House vote for the universal background checks, licensing, registration that I watched pass the other night. A lot of you watched it with me on my Friday live stream. Every Democrat voted for it. Every Republican voted against it. So as of right now, and that could change at any minute, as of right now, it's a partisan line vote. That's why I keep on bringing up Republicans versus Democrats. Every time I say that, people are like, don't bring the parties into it. Republicans are just as whatever. Well, that's just how they voted, guys. So we'll see. America the Free with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. 556. That's a good caliber. Let's see here. I had a 223 here. Did I shoot it? No, I got rid of it. I'm only a 7.62 by 39 guy now. Now, shout out to all the 5.56 guys. He said, love you, brother. Love the fight. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. Appreciate the super chat. And even more importantly, I appreciate the encouragement, man. Pillbox Bunker says, I don't know hardly anyone that voted for her. Okay, Giffords is coming to Lansing tomorrow. I posted this on my locals. I told you guys I'm posting a lot of stuff like this on my locals. There's people trying to get together a 2A rally or counter protest. I don't know what the right words are for it. I put the flyer up on my locals. Pillbox doesn't know hardly anyone that voted for her. I quite frankly don't either. But I don't really hang out in downtown Ann Arbor or Detroit either. Nothing against you guys that do. I just don't. I'm kind of more of a country boy. So everywhere I'm around here, nobody even knows anybody that voted for her. What's happening, Crazy Heathen? How you doing, man? Another Michigan guy here. Shout out to you and your channel, man. I know you're trying to fight the culture war, and I appreciate it, dude. I put up a rally that he's helping host on this community tab of this YouTube channel here. So make sure you check that out, especially if you're more on the western side of the state, right? Yes, I think that's just true just for human nature. Just knowing people have your back is encouraging. It helps. Trust me, I know. Look, guys, I've had reps literally tell me, I'm like, how many people have walked through your doors? And they're like, well, besides lobbyists? I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, they're people in the eyes of God, don't get me wrong. But like, they don't count as people. Have any actual people walked through your doors? No, just you. Notice that. Not a lot of people are getting involved. I get it. I'm going there because a lot of you guys can't. That's fine. That's why we're having these town hall type conversations on the internet. And I need you guys to be helping win this in the court of public opinion. If you can't go to Lansing today, that's fine. I'll go whenever I can, but I can't be in your hometown. I can't be hanging out with you and your friends. So how about this? I'll go to Lansing when I can. We'll come on here and talk about things. I'll update you, but you guys can't be freeloaders. You guys have to be out in the court of public opinion, talking to all your friends and family. And I know you guys aren't freeloaders, so make sure you guys are doing that, and we are all doing our part. And I want to make that clear. When I say, look, guys, not enough people are going to Lansing, I'm not trying to give you a guilt trip. Look, I understand you're all very smart people. You guys have to make decisions based on how you have to make them. And since I can't even figure out all my life's problems, I'm not even going to start to understand yours. I just understand there's reasons you guys can't go. So I'll go. You guys do your part, and together we'll see what we can do. I wish I could be there tomorrow more than anything. I can't go tomorrow. I went there today. I'll probably most likely go back Thursday. I can't go tomorrow. I really, really want to be in Lansing tomorrow, but my grandmother died and her funeral's tomorrow, and I really want to be there for my dad, and I know that's important to him, so that's the reason I can't go tomorrow. But I'm definitely going to go as soon as I can to let you guys know what's going on. I'm just taking a real quick look at the chat here. Do you guys have any questions about what's going on in Michigan? Any strategy? I mean, we've got 2-week waiting period bill that's now on the table. We've got bills that have to do with can't be within a certain amount of feet of a polling location. Can't be within 100 foot of a ballot drop box, even if it's like right on the corner of your house with a gun. Like, couldn't even leave your house armed. We've got the anti-CPL bill. This is what's so crazy about this. And the only good thing is hopefully it's a wake-up call. Because there used to be this thing in Michigan where people would, the FUD, the hunter. No, these affect hunters now, finally. A version of an assault weapons ban here in Michigan. Can't walk down the street with a gun because you don't know where the ballot drop box is. Now, they're to the point now where they're affecting everyone. There used to be a lot of people in Michigan I knew, and there probably still are some, probably more than I'd like there to be, that would say things like, well, I did it the right way. I went and paid money and took the training and got my CPL. So now, due to this card that I have in my wallet, I have more Second Amendment rights than you lowly peasants that didn't get the card. We've all met somebody that way, right? Now it's even affecting those guys now because there's the anti-CPL bill that they're trying to put through. That even with the CPL, you wouldn't be able to carry, let's see, a grocery store, right? Not even in the parking lot. Schools, which there's already firearms laws with schools, but I'm talking like not able to get anywhere near them. Government buildings, not being able to be in or around government buildings, not within 1,000 foot. That means the Capitol front lawn of that Capitol building and all these government buildings that you technically own, and that you're paying the cop that would arrest you, and then you're paying the prosecutors that would prosecute you, and you're paying the judge that would lock you in and throw away the key, and then you have to pay your own legal defense to fight the person you're already paying. I mean, that's important to mention to people. You're paying for all of this. Twice. Well, way more than twice, actually, but right on its face. You're paying for the person to deprive you of your natural God-given right to keep and bear arms, and then you have to pay again to try to defend that right, whether it's in criminal court, civil court, or appellate courts with gun rights groups that you're paying to fund to go up against the government that you're paying to fund. It's wild, isn't it? Colin L with a super chat. Thanks, man. And that is a good hunting cartridge. 260. He says, my favorite deer rifle. Well, I appreciate you being a channel member. And yeah, dude, 260 is nice. I like it, man. I am taking a quick peek at the chat here. Do you guys have any questions? Thanks for the condolences, guys. I appreciate it. I didn't, I wasn't on here to cry pity for myself. It's just, tough week for my family, especially my dad, and I have to be there for my dad at the funeral. Now, it's going to be a short funeral. Don't be surprised. I might, after I'm done, still drive up there for a little bit. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes. Although where the funeral's at is like an hour and a half drive from Lansing, so probably won't be there tomorrow. I hope one of you guys are there, though, to let me know what's going on. There's Jane Locke. She was at the Capitol with me, not today, but the last time. Today I wasn't there very long. I just kind of ran up there. I didn't get there till late, but I did cover some ground, and I am happy I was there. Yeah, the current regulations is you have to, yes, if you have a CPL, you can't concealed carry, but you have to open carry. Yes, but these new proposed laws, these bills, will turn all of that upside down. No open carrying, but also no concealed carrying, and I've done videos on all these. It's literally nuts. Yes, I do believe they want to stop us from being able to hold a Second Amendment rally, at least an armed one. Is there any other kind of Second Amendment rally? I don't think so. Not in America, anyways. All right, I'm just going to take one last look at the chat here and get off. This has already gone a little over an hour, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream tonight. And I may not have answered all of your chats in real time, but I do read all of them afterwards. And like I always say, that's the reason I come back. So I appreciate it. Any of you guys that left me encouragement, words of wisdom, a good plan, I'll get it all next time. Before I'm on here again, I will have read all of this. What's happening, Lori DeVries? How you doing? A republic, if you can keep it. What's happening? Jim Falcone says, sorry, I did not mean to call you Jill. I saw the L, and it's been a long day. I'm kind of tired. Jim said, they're doing the same thing in Indiana, the SB 295 red flag. I was just talking to somebody about Indiana earlier today, actually. Don't like it at all. Thanks for the condolences, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, let me know if one of you guys go tomorrow. Let me know what you see, what's going on. I'd really like to know. I'll find out. I've got some insiders there. I've got some spies that I'll have spying out of those tall buildings for me. You know what I mean? What's happening, Scott? You're another one that I've been referring to that lives out of state, but is still concerned what's going on in Michigan. Can you guys believe this? Those of you that just joined me, I talk about this earlier in the stream. If you want to watch it on replay, all three subjects of this big Senate bill, part of it's passed the House of Michigan, but this Michigan Senate bill are exactly the three first main bullet points of this executive order on the federal level. I had someone still try to tell me today it was a coincidence. Can you believe that? They said, man, this is awfully coincidental. And I said, well, I was waiting for them to give me the old wink, like, haha. said, "Are you serious?" And they're like, "Yeah, man. I mean, shoo, just to think, like, you really think this is a coincidence?" They're like, "Well, I mean, I doubt they're really." I'm like, "What? You doubt they're coordinating this like everywhere right now?" And Michigan is their new "Remember the Alamo" battle cry, and they're like, "Yeah, no, they couldn't be." I wanted somebody to say, "Get over here," right? I mean, wow. Colin out with another super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. And a channel member. I am not good with pronouncing that last name. So he said, my dad was Buck. He had the show Discovering in the UP for 30 years. He passed in 2020. I feel you, bud. I know how it feels. Well, I'm not from the UP, and it looks like I will have to look up that show, and I might see it for 5 seconds and be like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, man, it sucks. I really just want to be there for my dad. You know, it's for the deceased, but it's really for the people that are alive, right? Nobody likes a funeral. I mean, who really likes going to one, right? But sorry about your loss, man. I appreciate the encouragement and the super chat, dude. Thank you. Michael Hebner with a super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't see a message that goes with it. If it cuts you off, you can type it in here or just offering a little gas money. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to take just one more peek here. Hey, not a lot of questions, which is good. It means I've been covering this stuff well. I mean, I think I've done probably on average 2 to 3 videos a week. Talked about some national news tonight. I still have the rest of the country's back. This isn't, I've said it sarcastically a couple times recently. Welcome to the Daily Michigan Gun Control News Channel. Like, I just try to be funny a little bit. Jessica, I believe so. I posted it on my channel here, and Phil is in the chat right now. Crazy Heathen. Maybe you've already talked to Jessica in the chat, but the man that's one of the organizers of that event is in the chat right now. If you're talking about another one in April, then I'm not aware of it, but how convenient. Is the rally going on? I don't know. The organizer's in the chat. Ask him, right? See, I got your back, Jessica. Well, actually, Crazy Heathen does, but Elliot Scott, I know. Go watch that air gun, BB gun video if you guys haven't yet. It's about so much more than just BB guns. It's like, this is American culture. Like, it's culture in America that every boy gets a BB gun. And then their parents teach them firearm safety with that BB gun. And as somebody said in my comments that I was reading right before I went live, a BB gun's like a rite of passage for so many young people, boys and girls, especially boys, but girls too. No, they want to make BB guns now restricted, where youth either have to use them in such a restrictive manner. They want to make guns foreign objects, because when something's foreign to somebody, it's just human nature. You're more afraid of it. You're more likely to hate it. You know, the best way to get over somebody's fear of guns in almost all cases is actually teach them how to shoot, to teach them how it works. And it's amazing. Once somebody is actually knows how to use a gun, not always, but in so many instances, they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm not really afraid of guns anymore. Now, they might still be afraid of a bad person with a gun, but they start to realize this is just an inanimate object. It doesn't just go off on its own. It doesn't just grow legs and chase you down. Bad people do that, but not the gun. And that's why gun culture has been so much part of our culture. A little kid, it's probably not appropriate, quite frankly. Different ages, different body types. That's why parents need to be the judge of these. But you don't want to take a 5-year-old kid and put a 30-06 up against their shoulder and have them pull the trigger. The noise, the recoil, it's going to hurt so bad. Yeah, it'll probably give them a bad disposition towards guns the rest of their life by doing that. That's why a lot of people do start their kids out at whatever age that a parent deems fit. That's up for parents to decide. The government, hands off. But that's how a lot of kids gravitate towards firearms. The ammunition's cheaper, right? I mean, look how much it is for a box of BBs. That's a big deal. The low or almost zero recoil, less noise. This is how firearms culture is built, and they're trying to get rid of the firearms culture in our youth because they know all of us. We're getting older every day, and one day all of us will die, and the next generation comes up. So there's way more to it than just inconveniencing all the youngsters that are learning responsible firearm safety and ownership with their BB gun or their airsoft gun. Yeah, that's really bad. That in and of itself is reprehensible, but it's much, much bigger than that. They're literally trying to get rid of the gun culture currently and make sure that it never comes back in the future. So I think that's a very important video to watch because if for no other reason than just like, wow, like, told you. It's no longer, the feds can't just sit back and be like, whoa, at least they're not coming after my dude. They're literally coming after your BB gun now. So now that we're all on the same page, let's hope we can get together, right? What's happening, QD? How you doing, man? Appreciate you being such a generous supporter of the channel. And I just went to Lansing again today. So he says, dude, I just saw that Red Rider video. There you go. That's literally the type of video it is. It's like, dude, I just saw that. Yeah, I want people to see it because people need to know. It's like literally, dude, I want America back, guys. Can you believe I even did a video in this country where it's like, yep, and now they're coming after BB guns? Dude, thank you for being so generous, QD. Huge super chat, $100 super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it so much, man. I really do. It sounds like we're on the same page. He says, OMG, ignorance breeds fear. Yeah. Where in the hell does the government get off telling me what toys my kids can play with? Nothing is sacred anymore except gun safety. Dude, you're right. And what you said just literally reminds me of that old saying. I know when Ron Paul, I like Ron Paul, do you guys? When Ron Paul was running for president, I don't know if he invented this saying, but he had a shirt that was out during his campaign that I had bought to help support his campaign a little bit at that time. He said, truth is treason in the empire of lies. Think about that. Truth is treason in the empire of lies. And that's basically what QD just said. Nothing, right, is sacred anymore except gun safety. We can't have any gun safety. You know what? I'm going to call a spade a spade. And this might not be a popular thing for me to say, but hey, right now they're putting it all out in the open. It's my opinion that they're literally trying to make us less safe. And I think they want more and more and more. What they'll call gun violence. I'm using big air quotes for those of you listening. Because they're literally doing everything that's humanly possible to try to make us less safe every single day. And everything that's provable that is going to make violent crime go up, they're doing that even faster. You know, I used to give people the benefit of the doubt, and this is probably me being naive, and I used to say, well, they just don't know better. I think at this point in time, that's pretty ignorant for me to say. I think they do know, and it seems like that they're literally trying to make this the most dangerous country they possibly can to do two things: to get rid of all the guns, and I've talked even earlier tonight about why they might want to do that, but also just to make people scared generally. Because when people get scared, it's this stupid human trait that so many people have. They run to the government to help. Those are some of the scariest words that we can hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's how we've seen some of the most tyrannical dictators in the last 100 or so years in this world. First, they get people scared. They make people broke. They make everybody hate each other. And then they would isolate people. Red flag laws are just as much isolating people as they are gun control or due process control. Now, I don't keep up with this stuff intrinsically because I'm very lucky and I'm very gracious for this. I have a beautiful wife and I'm not in the market. But I've been hearing from a lot of my single friends. They're like, dude, no one even dates anymore. So I started looking into this. Like, dating is down in this country right now. So many people are like, for so many reasons, aren't even wanting to hook up or date or start families anymore because of, again, so many reasons. But these red flag laws are going to perpetuate that and keep isolating people even more and more and more. Because if you ever even went out on a date with somebody one time, they would now have the standing to red flag you. And I just think about all of this, and it's like, it's gun control, but when you talk about gun control, the operative word in gun control is control. They're just trying to destroy this country and control all of us. These aren't coincidences. This is all related. This is all going on, and it's all part of their plan, if you really think about it. I talked earlier in that BB gun ban video, I said, that's up for the parents. That's a family decision on when the kid's old enough for a BB gun or a real gun as far as that goes. But they don't want us to have families anymore. They're trying to destroy the family. They're trying to make it where the government is the only thing people will look at for any source of family or fellowship. And that's like literally the scariest thing you could ever have. Think about what's happened before people like Hitler came to power. Okay, the economy collapsed. They were broke. Half the country started hating the other half of the country. Well, we have that right now too. Gun control. Well, we're having that right now at record speed too. And gun control bills will never, ever, ever solve these problems, and we know that. But people having strong families and strong communities will. And that's what this country was built on. And they're doing everything over here to try to destroy families, to destroy any type of moral compass that this country ever had or currently does have. They're trying to destroy that. And then they're trying to take our guns. But I'm actually repeating myself because it's all really the same thing in the end. You know, when I was younger, I had a couple different roommates over the years, you know, guys that I lived with when we were younger. And we were single. There's a lot of camaraderie that can be built doing that. A lot of good times. Red flag laws would make you afraid to do that because it's anyone you ever co-inhabited with. While we're watching people having more and more trouble right now, even finding relationships and dating, which is usually how you would start a relationship, that may be your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. There's girls and guys both watching this right now and could eventually become your wife. People are down on even doing that anymore. And now, I mean, I hate to say this, but for good reason, and it shouldn't be that way. We're meant to find somebody we love and can be our best friend and bond with them and start a family. And that's just the American way, isn't it? But now you'd be afraid to date somebody because if you ever went out on a date and the date didn't go well, which most don't, or we would all have 30, 40 wives, and good thing we don't because we couldn't afford that. It's hard to afford one, right? But if you ever had any type of dating partner at all, you don't have to have sex with them. You didn't even need to kiss them. If you went on a date, looked at each other across the table and said, this ain't going to happen, and you both left, that person would now have standing to red flag you. And they're getting ready to pass it as a bill through Michigan soon. And the former vice president is doing executive orders to try to force all states into not only doing it, but also to make the states better at doing it. I'm going to look at 2 more chats and get off of here, guys. I think you guys get it. But I did want to have this conversation because there's a lot going on right now. A lot. A lot. But there's a lot of good people out there, too. We'll see what happens. I'm not giving up hope, but I definitely wanted to throw some of this on the table so smart people and good people can talk about it, right? Every date, a body cam. Ain't that the truth? You know, I did say something similar to that. I wanted to go into a couple representatives' offices, and I said, dude, I can't go in there. That's Jane. She was walking with me, right? You're joking, but not joking. I mean, come on. You want to get red flagged? I mean, who wants to be red flagged today? Jeez, oh, Pete. I was talking to my friend Jane Locke. We were walking with Jamie Thompson at that point, weren't we? From the Capitol building. I said, dude, I want to go in this one rep's office. Very anti-gun rep. You could even say unhinged rep. I said, I'm not walking in her office. Are you kidding me? She could just say that I said or did. I said, I'd have to go in there with another person. And then I said, no, I need to go in there with a woman, right? And I was like, no, I need to go in there with 2 women. And then I'm like, I need to go in there with like 11 women all wearing body cams before I could even talk to this one woman, because that's how much like everything's flipped upside down. And like, I'm scared to death to even walk into a public servant legislator's office because I don't trust what the heck they could say, what they could make up. You guys know that's what's going to happen with these red flag laws. Everyone and their brother, sister, stepsister, uncle, whatever, is going to make up anything and everything they possibly can. Right? Think about that. We know that's going to happen. That's not even a... I doubt anyone disagrees with me. Maybe somebody does. Elliot Scott, Ron Paul supporter. I like Ron Paul. Rand's all right. I like Rand Paul too. If there's any such thing as liking him, I don't know him personally, right? But I liked his old man even better. You know what I'm saying? He was like the politician. Real quick, piece of trivia on Dr. Ron Paul. They used to call him Dr. No, because that's what he did. He went to Washington. He was the representative for many years in Texas, and he just voted no on everything. He's like, we've got too many laws, and that's what he was known for, literally. He'd take a no vote. Didn't matter if the caucus told him to or not. So, there we go. I'm going to leave it with this. Anne-Marie, how's it going? Said, we truly live in uncharted waters. We do. And you think about all this. People are like, do we live in China or America? Well, we live in uncharted waters. And as the proverbial Chinese quote goes, may you live in interesting times, right? All right, guys, I will be back on here soon. And I need all of you to keep up the good fight. Try to encourage other good people. And we really need each other right now. I will see you guys on my locals community. For those of you that use Facebook, I'm on there, as well as here on YouTube. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.